This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your host, Brian McMahon. I am the sensei here at Expert Dojo, the fastest growing startup accelerator in Southern California. Now, in the first 2 seasons, we answered your questions about how to find investment for your business. We brought in the most accomplished investors in startup in America. You can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Now, here in season 3, we're flipping the script. We're going to hear real stories from entrepreneurs who are in the trenches today. In these episodes, we're going to take our guests through the storytelling model called the entrepreneur's journey. We'll hear about what sparked their call to entrepreneurship, help they received along the way, forces they overcame, dark times and revelations. So join us every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and start the week a smarter entrepreneur. It's Tuesday morning, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm back. We're talking about entrepreneurship and fun and awesome things that are happening in the world of startup and creativity. And today I am here with Dori DeCarlo. Dori, welcome.
Thank you.
So
good morning.
We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, right? I love the way you say good morning there, like it really is morning.
I'm going to go with the flow.
Well, look, you're in a fridge, so what the hell,
Why
right?
not? I mean, I'm living the moment. I don't mind that it's tomorrow.
I love, you've got some wonderful stories about where you've come from, why you do what you do. You've got a number of different companies. I know you've got Safety Bags Inc. and you've got StadiumBags.com. How did it all start?
Well, as a mom, after Columbine, I wanted to find a way to keep guns and drugs out of schools. And then I was sitting in church, believe it or not. And trust me,
How did Columbine, which is obviously just a disgusting, awful tragedy, but how did that influence you to become an entrepreneur?
I wanted to find a way to keep guns and drugs out of schools.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to make a difference. I didn't know how. And then I was in church, and our pastor actually read the gospel about when Jesus called the disciples, and he had this call to discipleship. And trust me, if it weren't for sinners like me, we wouldn't need church. But I went home that night, and I started designing a clear backpack. And I developed a line of clear bags and backpacks to not only assist with security issues in schools, but offices, airports, public venues, workplaces and sports arenas, because professional and college sports, anything larger than the palm of your hand has to be clear.
Oh,
so,
I didn't know that actually until you said it earlier on. So what had they been doing as a solution before that?
Well, timing in the marketplace, you're talking about entrepreneurs, timing in the marketplace is everything.
Everything.
And, Columbine was 19 years ago. So it took me 6.5 years to find a manufacturer that not only could make the quality product I wanted, I had to go overseas. And I wanted to make sure they worked with the Fair Wage Federation and environmental laws and child protective laws. But they've been with me since the start. And then we field tested about 18,000 pieces. And
but you had never been an entrepreneur before.
No, not
you were
really.
A mom.
I was an actor. And
hey, listen,
professionally.
newsflash for you. We're all actors, right?
Well, it's so funny because I joke all the time that I'm not a businesswoman. I just play one on TV.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it really was never about business for me. It was about making a difference. It was about what I could do with the money that I could generate, because as a mom, the schools do fundraisers and they're chocolate and wrapping paper and they're getting 10 cents on the dollar. Whereas I designed a line of bags for schools and not-for-profits. If the bag is $30, they get $12 back.
So you give $12 to the schools. Yeah, that's good. Now, it's true. I watch my kid in school and they send everybody for 400 pizzas, of which they make 10 cents on the pizzas. And I'm like, dude, not only have you just killed 10 kids, but you've also just made $4.
Right.
No, it makes so it's huge. So it's a great reason to move into it. I love cause-based reasons, which leads to for-profit businesses that you can make money from, right?
Eventually.
So how did you break into the schools? Did you go looking for investment first, or did you not need investment?
I've never found investment. I actually took the down payment I saved for a house. So trust me, everything I've done, these are all the things you shouldn't do, because believe me, if hindsight were 20/20, I'd have bought the house, because then it would have had something. The 6 years it took to find a manufacturer, I'd have had 6 years of equity in a house to then be able to turn over, because I wasn't a bankable person. I didn't really have credit. I didn't own anything. The only collateral I had were my children. They're worth millions to me, but the banks see them as a liability.
Sell them.
So it was
I would
just,
put my kid on the market in seconds.
Well, you know what I used to offer people all the time? But I'm going to get two free. I mean, come on, and they did dishes
yours
and
is even a
stuff.
better deal than me because you can do a special offer. You can have a closing
That's right.
sale.
I mean, but it didn't work.
Two for the price of one.
But they were instrumental. At the time when I first began, they were 10, 12, and 14. They're now, my daughter's 26, my son's 28, and my other son's 30, and every time I say it, my throat catches. Although I'm a grandma, and I love that part of my life.
Tell me something,
but they were instrumental.
Were you afraid at the beginning?
What?
Come on, you're talking about mortgaging your house.
I didn't mortgage a house. I took the down payment I saved for a house.
Okay.
Like I said, if I were smart, I would have had a house to mortgage.
No better,
crazier.
equally scary.
Well,
you're still
what?
taking that safety net that you have where it's going to increase in value over time, and you're putting it into something which is unknown, into a bottomless pit to try and build a product that you've never built before.
Yep.
So it's got to be terrifying, no?
And
you're on your own, right? Because you're not.
I'm a single mom.
Yep.
You
didn't have a co-founder on the business.
Well, no. You know what? What I did was I went to 4 of the best people I knew in their field and said, I don't know when this is ever going to make money or whatever, and I'd love for you to be part of it. I'll give you 5% of the profit, and had started the first time I began. And, I'll talk about it later in your low point of the show where you want to talk about low points, because that was my low point. But
who were the schmucks who were hating on you, and then who
there
was
no
helping
hate.
you this time?
There was never any hate. People would look at it, and this whole Me Too hashtag moment, I've lived that through this entire company. And, I've always been very vocal about the fact that if I were a different woman, I would have slept my way to this money like that.
Yeah.
But that's not who I was. I have a daughter, I have nieces, and I have to look myself in the mirror. And,
hey, I would follow that road too.
Well, you know what? Hey,
You know what?
I have 3 brothers, and one of them was like, "You idiot!"
What's wrong with you?
But hey, and you know what? I had
don't-
the other brother who was like, "Whoa! Not only does he not mind you doing it, but he thinks you should upsell." Because he was like, "Hey, he said he's going to give you this, get more."
Yeah.
But it, and you know what? It's really hard because as a woman in business, if you aren't lucky enough to have people in your life that actually have money, you do it however you get it done. And I actually started this business, but timing in the marketplace is everything. And a friend of mine said to me that I was answering questions before people knew to ask them. So.
But how did you know what to do? So did you have certain mentors and people who were helping you at that stage who guided you through to being able to build a good business model? Because otherwise, how are you going to do it?
I found a great manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I won another pitch contest at this women's event that the Secretary of State, Susan Bisowitz in Connecticut, who was an incredibly powerful woman and really focused on small business and driving it forward, she personally called me because she saw that I wasn't on the guest list and invited me. And I wound up going, and somebody said, who wants to pitch their company? And I was like, well, I'll go. Because people are shy. And I got up and I did a 2-minute pitch. I didn't know it was a $10,000 coaching package. So I interviewed with 3 coaches. One woman who, oh my gosh, she was like my best friend. The other one who, when I had the money, I wanted to hire as an assistant. And then the third one was this gentleman who made me so uncomfortable. I was literally pulling my clothes. I was pacing. And that's who I picked. Because why would I want a coach that I want to be friends with? Or that I want to hire? I want somebody who's going to take me out of my comfort
fill
zone.
Your skill gaps. And
So-
what did you learn? What did that coach teach you?
How to believe in myself, how to not be afraid to go after things. And, I had something catastrophic happen that closed my business. And I focused, and that's where I started my radio show. In the time that I closed my business, never giving up, and I knew that I'd rebrand it and retool it, and wound up reopening, rebranded.
Whoa, let's go back to
Right,
the close. So
we'll go back.
What happened? So you've got the business, you've got the idea, you got the product, you got the manufacturer. You actually have a product fit which is solving a problem which universities need solved. And I imagine, I haven't seen the bag, but I imagine they were nice, right? I see you built them, you made them sure that they were really special. Talk me through the journey, because every entrepreneur, as we're going through the journey, there is a time when we all reach the abyss. We reach that stage. It's not always a business closing. A lot of the time it's a business which is almost down, but not quite out. But bring me through the journey to where you went to.
Well, I saw the need in the marketplace, and I wasn't the first clear bag company out there. We weren't the first that started this. I just wanted to make sure we were the best. So our bags they're constructed in a 5 mil 20 gauge temperature treated PVC vinyl. Everything's lined in fabric, not in plastic. I worked with chiropractors on their design. They're UV treated, all these different things. They carry through your warranty because I'm a mom. I know where the bags break. And developed this line, and in our first year, we did a little over $300,000.
No way.
In between my office and my daughter's bedroom, I had a little office between our bedrooms. Never missed a ball game. My boys playing baseball, my daughter's playing softball. I kept a stat book for the school and stuff. And
you did $300K in your first year.
A little over.
God bless you.
We had done a custom designed product that had nothing to do with ours because I had come from the advertising special industry and I knew how to source things. And we created something and suffice it to say, our factory made a mistake, and it was my PhD in business, so to speak, because I learned how to write an ironclad purchase order where had it been spelled out in the purchase order, it would have solely been the manufacturer's fault. But I didn't have the information in there. I didn't have the right insurance in place. And I had just 8 weeks before met with a guy who connects you to angel investors. And I brought everything to him and our P&L and everything. And he was like, the first time in 23 years, I'm going to tell you something. He said, you know what? I could bring you to somebody who'll give you $5 million like that. Don't do it. He said, what you'll have to give up, you have something, it's going to take you a little longer,
like you're doing
but don't do it. Well, 8 weeks later, our factory made an error. We had just done everything, and we wound up netting $133,000. So now we are getting ready to go reorder, blah, blah, blah. Get a call, and it cost me $131,000 to fix the mistake. So it effectively closed my company. A whole bunch of things happened. Their company closed, so everything that we were going to be doing with them folded.
So disappointing, right? Because actually, none of this really is your fault.
Well, you know what?
You have a good product, good market, it's coming through.
You can't look at fault. I have to look, like I said, I look at it as my PhD in business.
Did you not think of getting a new manufacturer and starting
No,
again?
it had nothing to do with my manufacturer. It actually had to do with me because they were in a rush. They sent us a sample of what they needed with negating to tell us that it wasn't the size. So, and I didn't have it was a whole, but like I said, it was my PhD.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I had gone for a PhD, it was going to cost me a lot more than $131,000. So you know what? It is what it is, and I have to trust what's going on. So I wound up closing what I was doing, never giving up on it, and then I started Word of Mom Radio. I started my radio show for women like me, mompreneurs that were building their businesses from home.
It's a cool name. I like it.
It's the truth, though, because you know what it is? Moms get the word out any way, shape, or form, and I wanted to empower people.
Can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
So you've just closed your company, and we have raced into this wonderful resurgence straight away. But closing your company must have been the most devastating thing ever. And I only want to dwell on it, not because I'm looking for any particular drama on closing the business, but I want to prepare entrepreneurs for what actually comes.
That's right.
At this particular moment.
Well, you know what?
Can we just talk a little bit about that?
When you look at Fortune 500 companies, you look at Fortune 100 companies, almost every one of them went bankrupt, sometimes 2 or 3 times, where the only person who believed in it was the person who kept it going.
Yeah.
No matter what. And it's funny because I was driving not too long ago looking at where our company is now, having rebranded and retooled and everything else. And I was like, so many dreams die in a parking lot of a bank that people give up because no one will help them. If you don't show a bank that you don't need their money, they're not going to give you a dime.
Did you steal that from a country and western song?
No.
So many dreams die in the parking lot of a bank.
No, my father once sang I had tears in my ears from lying on my back in my bed because I cried over you. But no, it wasn't a lyric. It's life. It's life, and it's the life of an entrepreneur.
They say, if you want to get angel investment, you should just play a country and western song backwards. I think it would be good, right? You just do
see, I thought when you play it backward,
I got money in the bank.
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing. I got my car back, I got my truck back, I got the dog back, I got the trailer back. Life is good,
Okay.
But you know what? it is what it is. And for me,
But how
it's
did
funny.
you feel? So how did you feel? So the mistake happens. You're
Well, it's
sitting
a
at home.
devastating
Do you remember?
thing. And it's oh my gosh.
I know. I bet you know exactly where you were
I
when you
was
found
at
out.
my daughter's volleyball game
Huh?
and got a phone call. And I was so happy to see the guy's phone number. And it's like, hey, how are you doing? And he told me what happened. And I felt my heart hit the ground. It was like, you feel, you just watch it splat on the sidewalk. And it was literally watching my business go from $133,000 to $2,000 in the bank.
Wow.
In a 24-hour period. And not having enough inventory to be able to rebuild sales and stuff like that. So you give up or you give in, or you realize that no is just not now. And so you do what you have to do. If I hadn't had that happen, who knows if I would have started Word of Mom Radio? Who knows if, how I would have impacted the women. I mean, I've had people on my show that wound up winning grants. And I had one woman on my show share a product that she was doing. It was her first interview. And one of the buyers from Bed Bath & Beyond heard the show. And she wound up getting a contract with them. So
yeah, the impact that
it's
the
a
impact
wonderful
measurement
thing. You don't
afterwards
know.
is beautiful.
Well, you know
But
what?
it's still real hard to turn that bend.
Well, you know what? I just had such a belief in what I was doing. And I really do, honestly, it's a hard thing, but I trust the journey. I trust the journey every day. And it's why today is always my favorite day. And it's always the way that I've been. And, my children's father and I got divorced. When the attorney asked him, what the problem was, he said, there has to be something fundamentally wrong with somebody who's always in a good mood. She wakes up smiling. She goes to bed smiling, even if you just don't aggravate her before her first cup of tea in the morning.
Yeah.
Somebody's always had it tougher. And no matter how hard it was, I still had a roof over my head. My kids still had, a place to sleep and food.
So I like this. I want to just dwell on this for a second, because we do look, what happens to us is in our mind unimaginable. Now what we say by unimaginable is, we live in a really nice country. We get educated in a relatively nice way. We've got nice friends who are around us. And then we find ourselves in a place where we have absolutely no money. We're wondering if we can pay our apartment. Our friends, in some cases, are not our friends anymore because they find better people to hang out with. And on one level, it's really hard to think to ourselves, damn, we might be actually sleeping in a car or somewhere else. I'm just talking in general entrepreneurs. But in the great scheme of the world, in the comparison to what people go through on a daily basis, even in our worst moment as an entrepreneur, we're still in the top 15% of luckiest people in the entire world, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I remember sitting in church at one point, and they came around with the basket, and I had $20. And believe me, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I actually got involved with a multi-level marketing company when my kids were smaller. And if it weren't for that company, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because I learned then, why would I work this hard to build somebody else's business?
Yeah.
And so
I love
all
that.
of the things that I learned from that. But I went to church and I was $400 short for the rent. And the basket came around. I literally had $20, and that's what I had. And I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I have gas in the car. There's food in the refrigerator. I have 3 healthy children, and $20 is going to make a difference with the $400 that I'm short. So I just have to walk in faith, and I put the $20 in the basket. And when I got home, I had $880 worth of orders on my answering machine.
Okay, nice. I might have put $20. I might have taken $8
all I had was
change.
the 20. All I had was the 20. So what was I going to do? Rifle through the basket and see
to see if they got some ones, just to be safe.
You know what?
That
is
saying, I just wonder if you get more value for 20 than you get for 12.
I don't know.
Like the 12 is an effort in itself.
I don't know. All I had was a 20. It was just a $20 bill. Like I said, I couldn't rifle
change.
through.
They should actually. You know what? That could be a whole new evolution in the church service. It's a change machine rather than a basket, because a basket feels very difficult to reach into. And you just give $20 and you say, how much change would you like, sir? Madam?
You stick it in the little slot.
$4, please. Just thanks very much.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, there's money to be made. There is great products out there everywhere. But I love that you just turned it around. You never thought of not being. And mompreneur is brilliant, because what you're saying is, you know what? I don't care what stage you're at. I don't care what you're doing. There's opportunity everywhere. And even in adversity, you can go in and start some great new business. And even if you started off, because when you started the radio show, I'm sure you didn't think, well, I'm going to have 90,000 listeners and within immediately and it's going to be great. You just thought, this is something where I now have a message that I can teach other people. So you followed that journey, that path you were on.
It was actually the idea of sharing other women. And because as women starting a business, especially from home, I had to hear, when are you going to quit this shit and get a real job?
Yeah.
And now those same people are like, hey, when are you going to grow your business big enough that you can hire me? You know, so it is totally shifted. And it was really about giving women a voice and working together to empower each other. And I started out with one show a week, and then I started with a business show. And this woman, Janice Clark, who has this great VA agency and whatnot.
By the way, I bet you never thought you'd be doing a podcast in a fridge. Yeah,
you know what? This is the coolest place to do a podcast.
Of your career.
It's so, I'm serious. I'm thinking to myself, it's like, man, we could do this. We could do this. You know, I mean, we just little section. You know, I think this is awesome. I really do. This whole place, it's got like the coolest vibe. Okay, and, you know, you guys are drinking wine. I'm back to water.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I do have to sound reasonably intelligent.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm drinking enough wine for both of us, so we're good.
There you go.
Go on. So, sorry, we're on the show before I interrupted you. So you were building the show, you're bringing in guests, you're inspiring every single woman who wants to start her own business, who's based at home and doesn't know how, right?
Well, that's
and you're
exactly
providing them a roadmap.
You know what? Janice shared social media, help not hype, and it's amazing because all of the things that I do with social media and stuff, I actually listened to my guests. And I wound up, people came and hosted. My favorite story is Renee Sullivan, who started out, I interviewed her with her first business in the parking lot of a diner. She and her husband and family were on vacation. She sent the kids in, and we did our interview over the phone. And then she became my first sponsor and now hosts one of our business shows on Tuesdays.
Nice.
You know, and so it's been this whole evolution. And in this last year, we're in our 6th year because now stuff has taken off with our business. I was like, I either have to sell the podcast or I've got to bring somebody in, and wound up bringing in this wonderful woman, Tracy Timmons, who...
the business is the bags, right?
My business is the bags, and the radio show was like, you know what? I've built it up. I either have to let it go or find somebody to help with it.
Okay, so listen, this brings me to the nice part, because we've come past the abyss, right?
Exactly.
We've come past the difficult, hard people who haven't helped you, such as, even if some of it wasn't even your fault, we're now on the other side, the transformation. Mm-hmm. So how did you manage to get the business back?
Well,
because the bags was all dead a little while ago.
Oh, they were really dead, but I never gave up on it. And we decided to just go for it. And I swore to myself I was not going to start this business without a $250,000 investment.
Wow. Because the bags were they were like hedgehogs crossing the freeway.
But I knew exactly what I was doing. I mean, I had the manufacturing in place. I mean, our manufacturer can do 1 million bags in 6 months. And that's just with one of their 11. They're a family-owned factory. I mean, it's just wonderful people to work with. And ultimately, I started with $10,000 from a friend of mine at church.
Okay.
And the little bit of limited funding that I've gotten that had until this last week were from my friends in church, because they watched this journey over 10 years, 12 years of me never giving up. And it was like, well, you know, we don't have this, but we have that. Can you get started? And I have a manufacturer, which is completely unheard of in China, that actually factored bags for us. As long as we paid for the manufacturing and the labor, they factored the shipping.
So you never give up on your love. That's
ever.
That's the entire thing.
And you know what's interesting? The coach that I won that package with, about 4 months ago, I got an email from him that said tenacity. And he was like, I have been watching your journey and I'm so proud. And if you'd like to just have a quick tune-up call on me, you know, and we did. We talked for like an hour. He called me. I mean, he's world renowned, and it was so cool. And he was like, you know, I'm so proud of you that you never gave up. And I truly knew I was going to be doing something that was going to make a difference. And what happened was stadium bags professional and college sports. Like I said, anything larger than the palm of your hand has to be clear. And sadly, we're more concerned about what goes into a stadium than what went into a school. So I took 2 bags I had already designed, the mini messenger bag. It's a crossbody, small bag that's like a pocketbook, and our mini backpack, and launched stadiumbags.com with that $10,000.
Good for you.
$7,500 went into putting 2,000 of each bag in production. I spent $880 to secure stadiumbags.com. And at that point, it left me $40 in the bank. And I was like, well, if I'm walking in faith, I'm walking in for a penny, in for a pound. And I hit pay, and just did it. And we launched in March of 2016 at the Education Expo.
Yeah.
Family Magazine was there, and I didn't know that. And we actually won the Family Magazine Award for Products.
Beautiful.
In 2016, 2017. We actually won with a 110 out of 110 from all 12 judges.
Yeah.
So it was the only time in like 20-something years. And so it grandfathered us, and will be their premier product again in their holiday guide.
Yeah.
And then Amazon approached us. And we're actually on the retail side, the only clear bag Amazon sponsors. And on the wholesale side, we're really the only clear bags Amazon sells. They just this past few months ago expanded us into Europe. But so we started doing that, and everybody kept telling me, oh, you got to go to Shark Tank. You got to go to Shark Tank. We launched June 3rd, June 7th, Kevin Harrington's office, which is the original shark from Shark Tank. He's the guy behind As Seen on TV. Their office is called about doing a segment.
Get the flip out of here.
I'm serious. It's a heart attack. So they call me the next day to say, and the woman, she's like, tell me your story. So I told her how we launched in March and Family Choice and Amazon. And she was like, June 3rd, you launched on Friday. She's like, really? She's like, who does your marketing? I said, I do. She's like, really? A week later, I'm talking to their VP. A week after that, I'm talking to the president of the company.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was on your website. You have school bags. I have 4 kids. I'm like, let's dial it back to what I have. I said, and it's ironic. 4 days before you called me, I was in Florida. He was like, when are you coming back? I said, when do you want me to come back? He was like, how about Wednesday? I was like, okay. I put all of my bags into the car and drove to Florida. Met with them about our stadium bags, but then went back at 4 o'clock and had our entire line. I designed 24 different style bags.
Yeah.
We have 4 different size backpacks, then 2 backpacks on wheels and 2 backpacks for wheelchairs, because I work with kids with mobility
Can you
issues.
stop teasing me? What happened?
So they see our product line. The guy was like, oh my God. I wound up turning Kevin Harrington down for an equity position like 3 different times.
Well done.
But
well done.
But they
because
have
you know
done
what?
so much for me. I can't even tell you, because I wound up doing a commercial with them. I took that commercial and I put it on Facebook for $1 a day. Day 2, Worldwide Business from Kathy Ireland called, and I did an interview with her. Day 18, it was Good Morning America and Deals and Steals.
Wow.
And we launched our
Like
tote
Deals and
bags.
Steals, so good.
All of these different things. The first weekend it aired during football season on ESPN in Chicago, and the head of the PGA Tour called, and we wound up in the Essential Guide to Golf
QVC?
magazine. Turned them down just because
The price?
You know what it is? Yeah. See, QVC is
very
great for
cheap.
somebody. QVC is great for somebody whose product costs you $1
Yeah.
or $2. But our product, I could go to a different manufacturer and make our product less, but that's really just because the variable is labor, and I love that we manufacture with
You're
integrity.
trying to avoid having 6-year-olds actually
Thank you
making
very
your product.
that. You know what? It was very important to me, and I
Yeah.
love the factory. And these people have been with me from the beginning, and factored bags where we would pay them through sales and then take money. And so they've been amazing. I've been so blessed to
find
have
this
them.
one thing that really stands out to me about speaking to you is that there's a few things. Firstly, for everybody listening, and there I hear a lot of people saying, oh, only certain people should start businesses. I don't agree. I think we should train people better in school to start businesses, because actually it's the job of not even tomorrow or today, it's the job of yesterday. And in many ways we're being let down, or our kids are being let down in that particular space. But you realize that actually we all have it in us. We just need to have something that we're really good at, or can become really good at, and then to stick with that and plug through it. And tenacity is too cheap a word to just say, yeah, that's the only thing that it is. It's way more than that. It's an overwhelming desire to make an impact in an area that you feel is incredibly important. So that's one thing I want people to take. But the second thing, which I really like, is the fact that you don't compromise. When our backs are against the wall, many people compromise in startup. And not because we're good people or bad people or weak or anything else, but just because it becomes too much. And I like that you've stood by your morals all the way through in this. And when you, rather than try and fight to save something that was dying, you let it go to where it needed to go to. You got yourself strong again. And then when you were strong, you dragged it back out of the water and you took it to where you were rather than trying to swim out with it. I think it's a very powerful story about how you can actually drive a business forward and get it to where it needs to go to. And have you measured how much of an impact you've had as far as donation to the schools? And then also impact on, I think the impact on people's lives is just nice because you're making the world a safer place, right?
I'm doing my best. But as far as schools go, we haven't gotten our school bags into production yet. And it was funny because our first order, we did 4,000 bags, 2,000 of the crossbody mini messenger, and 2,000 of the mini backpack. Our next order was 20,000 pieces. It never occurred to me that we wouldn't get funded. It never occurred to me that somebody wouldn't look at the marketplace, look at just in the stadium arena alone.
Yeah, and realize it's huge.
Schools, it's ginormous. Just here in the United States, it's a couple of $100 billion industry. Millions of people go to games and sports is not seasonal. It's 12 months out of the year. You have everything from basketball to football to baseball to NASCAR. NASCAR started it. And then it went to the NFL, and then it went to the March Madness, then at colleges and stuff. So it kind of evolved. Now schools, and I always felt if I did our stadium bags right, if we did it all the right way, it would shine the spotlight on the school bags.
So that leads me to what's next?
Getting our school line in production. We actually just finished a round of funding where I haven't given away the store. It's through friends and people that, I brought on a partner in Word of Mom Radio and now into safety bags that I babysat for when she was a kid. And we reconnected in the universe. You just have to trust the journey. And when I launched stadium bags at the Education Expo, I paid for the expo the day I left to fly to Vegas for the expo. And if I hadn't had the money, I'd have flown out there and talked to them because they already knew me. And they would have let me exhibit. I know they would have. The year later, Kathy Ireland was there filming with Worldwide Business.
Awesome.
So they have watched this evolution and the fact that I've never given up. And so now when it comes to our school bags, this is our next phase in working with them because schools are reacting. Oh, we have to have a clear backpack, but they're not looking at the big picture. If it's going to be guns don't kill people, people kill people, and it's a mental health issue, then the only way not to get brushed back from the students is everyone has to have a clear bag. The teachers, the administrators, whoever's coming into the school. So what, you have a clear backpack, but you can have a canvas duffel bag?
Yeah.
No, you have to have a clear...
Hopefully something terrible doesn't have to happen first.
Well, we've had enough terrible. See, for me, Columbine was... All it took was one for me to do everything I could over the course of this last 19 years to be at the place where I am right now, sharing with you about what we're doing and where our bags are going. And, we just came out in the USA Today magazine's back to school guide. We're in their winter holiday guide. And I couldn't believe it. I was telling Emily, we were flipping because you were interviewing Emily Webb earlier, that I was flipping through the magazine looking for our ad. And I was like, let me start from the beginning. And I opened it up and here's the front cover and the first page is us. It was just like, holy smoke, we're getting ready to be in the American and National League Championship World Series program and the World Series program. And these are the advertisers who came to us because they knew that our clear bags are so important. They wanted to align themselves with the best ones on the market with a warranty. We cover with a 3-year warranty. Our bags are $30.
Okay. No, I get it.
And it was so cool, Brian, because they actually... and I probably shouldn't say it on the air, and I won't name prices, but discounted things and looked at me as, you're a really small company. And as you grow, we know that you'll grow with us. So if we can help you, because this is a really important product line. Same thing with college news and everything else. And it's so exciting to watch this. But people look at me and my landlord. I actually opened up my first office in Corporate Park last February because things started happening so quickly that I was like, our infrastructure, we need to be able to, when this happens, it's going to happen like that.
Oh, you're moving fast. Listen, I want to move you to, so we've gone through this beautiful cycle of how you got the idea and how it was brought by a beautiful cause, how you realized how you could fit in, not by doing a nonprofit, but by creating a for-profit business, which helped benefit, those wonderful cause of actually trying to make the world a safer place. How you actually then went all the way down to the most difficult part, and then how you dragged yourself back up again in a really smart content marketing way, and then took the business back with you to now having a thriving business that's just going to flourish and keep going forward. So I want to make sure everybody has your details before we go, but I would like you just to think about, for this entire period you've gone through, there is just one piece of advice that you can give to every single entrepreneur. And I want to say, not even entrepreneur, every mompreneur. Mm-hmm. Every single one. Every single mom who's there, who's either starting a business or thinking of starting a business. What is your 30 seconds of advice to help make sure that they are successful?
Believe in yourself. It's so easy to hear. Nobody wants to tell you that you're going to be good, because if you succeed, it points up the fact that they didn't, as opposed to working together, especially as women, to empower each other and build each other up, because we have that ability to share. Women start with why. We have a different motivation. We see a need and we try to fill that need. And together, we can all make a difference. We can each sing on our own, but if we sing together, we're a choir. And each one of us has our own facets that we bring into it. So believe, as it's as hard as it is, and just trust the journey, because it takes as long as it takes. The universe, God, whatever your belief system is, doesn't work on a timeline. It works when it works. So hone your craft, create the best today you can, because each day we evolve into that next step, and you just have to believe, no matter how hard it is. If you really honestly have the faith in what you're doing, you're going to make it happen. You're going to find a way.
Beautiful. What's so special for me about these podcasts in particular is that I used to listen to, I always wondered, how can we, because we had the investor podcast that we did, and I thought, how can we make it better and more important for people who are listening to it to actually get good impact from it? And I thought, I enjoy listening to the Richard Bransons and the Mark Cubans, but I do feel like they're so far gone on the other side that the information is almost like a good TV show. Mm-hmm. You watch it, it's finished, you go, oh, that was awesome. And then you just go and you have your dinner and you've kind of forgotten that it happens. Like the beautiful, beautiful thing about the space that we're in, about what you're going through right now, what we go through right now, what the other guests on our show go through, is that you are brilliant entrepreneurs right in the middle of the most beautiful journey ever, and you're sharing with all of our listeners in real time for where you are today. And for that, I am truly grateful.
Well, you know what? The last thing I can say is that it may not be easy, but it really is worth it.
Boom. I love that. How can everybody contact you?
You can go to either safetybags.com or stadiumbags.com. You'll find us all over social media. My name's Dori DeCarlo. Reach out, and it's Word of Mom Radio. And so you're out there. How can I share what you're doing? Because as women, especially women, that's what it's all about. It's giving us a voice. Do
you have either an email or a Twitter handle or
Absolutely.
Facebook?
Like I said, Safety Bags. You'll find us on Twitter and Facebook. It's safetybags_Dori, or Word of Mom Radio on Twitter, Word of Mom Radio on Facebook, Safety Bags and Stadium Bags on Facebook and Instagram. So we're all over social media.
Beautiful.
Stop by, say hi.
You're a rock star. Thanks for joining us, and many, 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 many more successful bags to come.
Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.